Welcome to another edition of Show After the Show. This is the place where you learn about the people who make this community so great. Grant Blackwell is one of them from Candid Home Inspections. I'm so grateful, Grant, that you've been able to join us today.
Thank you very much, Rob. I appreciate it.
I understand you grew up on a peach farm.
Absolutely. Both my grandfathers were peach farmers. So, my backyard was an apple orchard and my front yard was a peach farm. So it was in the family, and we still live on the same family property these days. So
Yeah, I understand that. I want to get to that later because that sounds so cool that your family today currently lives on that same peach farm and now apple orchard. I didn't even know an apple orchard was a part of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Now your dad grew up on that farm as well, but I understand he wasn't the peach farmer or orchard farmer. He was a business manager.
That's right. Yeah, he worked for a local school district, and but he very much grew up on the farm. His dad was a peach farmer. My mother's dad was a peach farmer as well. So it's certainly in the blood for sure.
Yeah. What about your kids? Are they doing that today?
They get to enjoy the same property that I do, but nowadays we've got soybeans on it. We do corn, we do tomatoes, we do watermelons, all kinds of stuff. So,
man, well, you come from a big family, it sounds like, because you have a brother and a sister, and I understand there's one sister that you didn't get to meet.
That's correct, Rob. Before I was born, unfortunately, I had a sister that passed away in a tragic drowning accident. And, God works in crazy ways, because if it weren't for that, I wouldn't be here, because my parents wouldn't have tried to have another child. So I very much feel connected to that sister. And, I wouldn't have the opportunities that I do, and I wouldn't be here if it weren't for that tragedy. So.
Yeah, and evidently you turned out well. You went to Enman First Baptist Church. You were so involved, and at 9 is when you made a really important decision in your life.
It is. I accepted Christ at 9. I had an awesome church family, awesome youth group growing up. I was fortunate enough. My brother's actually 7 years older than I. I was fortunate enough to have him go on some youth retreats with us. So that's a very fond memory of mine growing up. But at the same time, my 20s were pretty much spent as the prodigal son, and it wasn't until my 30s that I stopped running from Christ, and trying to do my own thing. After having my firstborn, things kind of changed for me, and I found a completely new reason for being, and I felt like for the first time in my life that I really knew what God's plan was for me. So
you served in the Army. You're in the infantry.
That's correct. 10 years.
Thank you so much for your service. And I hear you have a Purple Heart.
That's correct. June 17th, 2007 was Father's Day, and we were attacked and hit by a roadside bomb, in which we were very fortunate to make it out of that situation alive. But I remember making the phone call to my parents on Father's Day, and fortunately enough, they let me make the phone call as I was being medevaced and arrived at that one facility. I was fortunate enough to be able to make that call rather than somebody else making that call. And my parents picking up the phone and having to do that. But fortunate enough to walk away from that, and got a second chance after that day. So
sure did. Sounds like a wake-up call.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Grass has been greener ever since, I tell you.
You mentioned earlier that you now live on the farm that you grew up on. I mean,
That's
with a
right.
fishing pond and the orchard and everything else. What's that like, having your kids surrounded by the memories you grew up on?
Man, it's crazy, because there's times where I watch them play in the yard, and in the exact spots where I might have a memory at their age, and it's very surreal sometimes. But this property's been in our family for over 100 years now, and so it's not without recognition of the sacrifice that my parents have made and my grandparents have made to keep it that way. And so I hope that my kids will appreciate that one day.
Oh, I hope so too. Your degree is Homeland Security.
That's right. That's right. Before I joined the military, I had attended college for about 3 years, and was working in the IT field. And after joining the military, I thought for sure I was going to do 20 in the military, but I hit that 10-year mark, and I realized that either I was going to move the kids back home and be closer to family, or we were going to have to move and get promoted again, and it just wasn't going to happen. So I decided at that 10-year mark to move the kids closer to family, and finished my degree that year before I got out, and had all the intentions of, going and doing something on the federal side. But the more I got into that, the more I realized that was going to be just as much time away from family and kids as the military would have been. So I chose to take a little bit different route.
Yeah, and you really dug in. I mean, you shadowed a lot of business owners.
Yeah, I remember it was 2013, and I remember phone books were kind of going the way of the dodo at the time. But I remember there being one in my mailbox, and at the time I was transitioning out of the military. We were renovating a house, and I remember looking through that phone book at businesses that I thought would be interesting. And so I made some phone calls, and there were a handful of business owners that were kind enough to let me come in and sit with them for a day. Everything from small engine shops to retail. And a home inspector happened to be one of them. And he was the only one that would allow me to go right along with him. The rest of them kind of approached it like, why would I train my competition? And,
True.
I just kind of explained to him, I was like, I'm just looking to find something that I'm interested in. And I had one guy that was kind enough to let me ride along with him. I loved it day one. I saw that it was something new every day. You got to meet people from all around the world, different walks of life. And, I saw that I could put my own spin on it and kind of improve what was already being done. So 6 months after that, I had a license and was in business.
And now Candid Home Inspections.
Absolutely. Been doing it ever since.
You're in Spartanburg now. Looks like you want to cover most of the upstate.
Absolutely. We do a fair amount of work in Greenville and Spartanburg counties. We'll occasionally reach out to Cherokee County, even Anderson County on occasion. But the meat and the potatoes of what we do is Greenville and Spartanburg counties for sure.
And to do that, if you want to expand, you need some people to work for you.
Absolutely. We've got a great team. My wife works for us. She's prior service Army. I have a 23-year Marine Corps vet that's been with me going on 6 years now, I believe. And then another Marine Corps vet who did 6 years, and he's been with me for 2 years now. So,
and you're looking for more to join.
Absolutely. We could certainly use an additional inspector who's got a great eye for detail and just loves people. That's really the best fit for us.
Yeah, it sounds like that's what you do, is you want to love on people as you're doing what you do.
Absolutely. And, when I started this business, I saw that was the disconnect was, there was a lot of people who did what we do and produce a really good inspection report, but there was very few people who actually made that client the center of what was going on, and to really make that an experience and sit down and listen to them. So if you can sit down and listen to those people and kind of understand where they're coming from, man, you can help them so much more than just producing a 50-page report with a bunch of pictures and legal disclaimers and everything else. So that's really the center of what we do.
That's good. That's why you help make this community so great. So
Thank
grateful, Grant. Candid Home Inspections. You can see the link to the website right here on the Show After the Show page. If you know somebody who could use some work and they're the kind of person that Grant is talking about, send them this. Share this with them and let them know as well. And if you know somebody who needs a home inspection, share this with them as well. And we're so grateful that you're a part of what's happening here with Show After the Show. We'll see you next time.